In this material, the authors provide an overview of biogeochemical cycles, highlighting three of them: nitrogen, carbon, and water cycles. These circuits are currently being disrupted due to the functioning of man-made systems, which has and may in the future have serious consequences for ecosystems and human health, both on an individual and global scale. Natural exchanges, in the form of circuits, through which essential chemicals or chemicals containing essential elements are transferred between components of the natural environment, are called biogeochemical circuits, or biogeochemical cycles. The circuits are controlled by biological factors, such as bacteria that break down organic matter, and abiotic factors, such as the climate system or geological processes. By understanding how ecosystems work, how human activities influence natural interactions, the effects of these activities on the environment can be understood and strategies can be developed to preserve the quality of the environment and prevent and reduce pollution where it exists. The main biogeochemical pathways are those of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, oxygen, water, and iron. The carbon cycle naturally regulates the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, an essential process in the climate system. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur are essential in the production of nutrients that maintain soil fertility, so the cycling of these elements is particularly important. The hydrological circuit, also called the water circuit, describes the transport of water between the different components of the environment. The oxygen circuit describes how oxygen is produced, transported, and consumed in the various components of the environment, sustaining life. The iron circuit describes the transport of iron compounds between the components of the environment, important in the production of substances and energy essential to living organisms. The carbon, nitrogen, and water pathways, which are directly influenced by the specific activity of the rural environment and whose disruption has led to major environmental imbalances in the planetary megasystem, are exemplified below. Carbon is the basic element in organic compounds, and a number of compounds are essential in regulating the climate system. In water, air, soil, carbon is found in inorganic or organic compounds. Carbon dioxide is present in air, water, or soil. Salts in the form of carbonates and acid carbonates are found in water or soil. Of the organic compounds, methane, a gaseous compound, is present in water, soil, or air, and saccharides, proteins, amino acids are essential components of living organisms. Large amounts of carbon are found in fossil fuels, i.e. natural gas, oil, coal, which contain organic compounds and are formed from the fossil remains of plants and animals. Carbon compounds are involved in all the processes that sustain life on the planet. At the very basic level, the natural carbon cycle is based on two processes involving carbon compounds. Burning is the conversion of organic carbon compounds into carbon dioxide and is a process that releases energy. Burning takes place either in living organisms or in the built environment, by the combustion of fossil fuels to obtain the energy needed for various activities such as transport and industry. In addition to energy, water, carbon dioxide, and other polluting chemicals are generated when burning fossil fuels. Photosynthesis is the process by which, in plants, in the presence of light radiation, carbon dioxide is converted into oxygen, organic matter, and the chemical energy needed for plant growth. Naturally, the carbon dioxide generated by combustion is taken up by plants through the process of photosynthesis. These two processes underpin the planet's climate system through the greenhouse effect. The Earth is warm because of the trapping of solar radiation by certain gaseous substances, naturally present in the Earth's atmosphere, called greenhouse gases such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane. Fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas are an important resource for the energy needed to run man-made systems. Excessive burning of fossil fuels leads to increasing carbon dioxide emissions that can no longer be processed by the green mass, which in turn is being massively depleted by, for example, deforestation. The climate balance is thus disturbed at global level due to the natural imbalance of the processes of combustion and photosynthesis, meaning the disruption of the natural biogeochemical carbon cycle. This imbalance results in climate change, manifested by global warming. Climate change affects the whole planet and is caused not only by carbon dioxide but also by other gases in the atmosphere called greenhouse gases. Because most of these contain the element carbon, greenhouse gas emissions are often referred as carbon emissions. Greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, hydrofluorocarbon compounds are also emitted from agrozootechnical activities. Together with emissions from energy consumption for transport and/or the production and processing of animal feed, carbon dioxide emissions are generated during fermentation and composting of animal waste. Methane emissions are generated during fermentation and digestion processes in the stomachs of animals and during storage and disposal of animal waste. Methane is a much more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, which means a greater contribution to climate change. Organic compounds in the hydrofluorocarbon category are used as refrigerants and air conditioners. The major consequence of climate change is global warming, manifested in rising global average temperatures. According to data from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the average global temperature is about 1 degree Celsius higher than in pre-industrial times, and efforts are underway to limit the increase to an average of 1.5 degrees Celsius for the period 2030 to 2050. Global warming is leading to melting glaciers, rising sea levels, extreme weather events, changes in the distribution of plant and animal species across the planet, and even the extinction of some species. Changes can have significant negative impacts on natural systems and human society, increasing the risk of natural disasters, affecting natural resources and human health. Tackling carbon cycle disruption primarily involves reducing greenhouse gas emissions, increasing the carbon absorption capacity of natural ecosystems, and developing and implementing clean and sustainable technologies. Nitrogen is, together with carbon, a key element in our life, being present in the essential molecules of life. As a whole, the biogeochemical pathway of nitrogen contributes to maintaining balance in ecosystems and ensuring sufficient nitrogen for all living organisms to have a balanced rate of growth and development. Naturally, nitrogen is a ubiquitous element, as it exists in all ecosphere compounds, both in its free form and in organic or inorganic compounds. As a simple substance, it makes up about 78% of the composition of the atmosphere. Nitrogen is also found in the atmosphere in the form of oxides or ammonia resulting from natural biochemical processes. In the living world, nitrogen is found mainly in essential life compounds, called proteins. In soil and water, nitrogen can be in its free form, or in the form of compounds such as nitrates and nitrites. These chemical species are used by living organisms for survival, so they are nutrient species. Nitrogen exists in all components of the environment in the form of ammonia or ammonium ion, as well as in various organic compounds. The nitrogen circuit is quite complex, involving many chemical and biochemical transformations. Atmospheric nitrogen enters the circuit through the fixation process, in which microorganisms in the soil transform it into forms that can be assimilated by plants. Nitrogen can also enter the system from other sources such as animal waste or decaying plant material. In the soil, a number of bacteria and microorganisms mediate the transformation of nitrogen compounds, where nitrogen in the form of ammonia is oxidized to nitrite and nitrate, the nutrient species. These species are either transported by soil water or converted, through a process called denitrification, to nitrogen, which is released into the atmosphere. Disturbance of the nitrogen cycle can be caused by anthropogenic activities. For example, the use of nitrogen-based chemical fertilizers in agriculture adds nutrients to the soils where they are applied. Excessive use of these fertilizers can, however, lead to soil and water pollution with nutrients. These chemical species enter groundwater and surface waters, causing eutrophication of water bodies, which manifests itself in excessive biomass growth. Disturbance of the nitrogen cycle can also lead to deterioration of soil quality through acidification, and to emissions of greenhouse gases such as nitrous oxide released as a result of complete denitrification of soil nutrients. Excess nutrients in groundwater used as a source of drinking water are also a concern for developing human or animal organisms, such as babies or young or pregnant animals, as they can cause choking poisoning when nitrite or nitrate levels are very high. The hydrological cycle, known as water cycle, is an essential process for sustaining life on the Earth by ensuring the availability of water for all living organisms. Water is the central and essential component of living systems and at the same time of the environment. The hydrosphere occupies about 73% of the Earth's surface. Water is found in the atmosphere, as vapor or in condensed, liquid or solid form. In the lithosphere, water provides food for plants and water in the groundwater table is a resource for humanity. On the Earth, water is in constant movement due to evaporation, condensation, precipitation, runoff and infiltration. This creates a continuous cycle, with water going through transformations involving water in liquid, gaseous or solid state. The cycle can be explained starting with the evaporation of water from surface water and soil by the action of solar heat. Water vapors rises into the atmosphere and condenses to form clouds, and through precipitation water reaches the Earth's surface. Water from precipitation can flow directly into rivers and lakes or infiltrate into the ground, reaching the groundwater. Water transport through soil is an important process. It is based on complex mechanisms such as diffusion, osmosis, which provide water to plants for growth and survival. The process also depends on the physical properties of the soil, such as texture, structure, and density. Because of its physicochemical properties, water is a good solvent and dispersion medium for a huge diversity of chemicals. Naturally, the water contained dissolved chemicals making possible the underwater life and also the use of water for human activities in different sectors, including agrozootechnical activities. Water is also an excellent transport medium for life-supporting substances such as nutrients or oxygen, for the microbiological species and pollutant species. Most pollutants released into the atmosphere or lithosphere end up in the hydrosphere. Being a very good solvent, water can dissolve and transport not only natural, beneficial species, but also polluting substances and materials foreign to living matter. For example, the presence of sulfur oxides in the atmosphere causes atmosphere acidification, and due to pollutants deposition, water or soil are acidified and consequently the living systems are highly affected. Climate change, primarily manifested by rising temperatures compared to pre-industrial times, can result in water evaporating from the soil and surface waters much faster than in the past, which can lead to drought and other water consumption problems. The construction of dams and canals for irrigation, beyond the beneficial effect it has by changing the way water flows in a given area, disturbs the natural water cycle. For example, dams can prevent water from flowing naturally into rivers and affect water quality, and irrigation canals can reduce water levels in rivers and wetlands, thus affecting ecosystems. Deforestation and changes in land use lead to changes in the way water is absorbed by soil and vegetation. Cutting down forests can reduce the soil's ability to retain water, resulting in flooding and surface water runoff. The presence of chemicals, wastes, and other materials in surface waters can affect the quality and integrity of aquatic ecosystems. For example, pesticides and other chemicals, such as chemical fertilizers, used in agriculture can end up in groundwater and surface water, affecting aquatic life and reducing the capacity of the water to be used for human or agricultural purposes. Understanding the processes in the environment and especially the interactions between its components is fundamental to carrying out activities that do not lead to irreparable imbalances. To obtain detailed information, we invite you to consult the materials proposed in the project's e-learning platform or others representative of the field of interest.